That's me. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So like we stated, we thank God for everyone joining us on tonight, and we give God the glory, honor, and praise, and thank God for you, and you. And like we have stated, I don't know how many weeks it's been, but I know this is lesson number 5. So if I'm look at this correctly, I think it's been about 10 weeks or so that we have dealt with this lesson or this series. Because each lesson, we do not want to rush through any one lesson because we want to dig at it as much as we possibly can, because it's not only building us up, but it's also building up those who are watching and those who may watch later on. So we want to dig at all of it, and we don't want to, like we said, leave no stone uncovered. So I thank God for everyone that's joining on tonight, like we stated, as we attempt to wrap up the series entitled Trauma, Trigger, and Tragedy. All right. And so on tonight, part five of this whole series, and part 5 is entitled Miscarriage. All right. It's entitled Miscarriage. I'm not going to get too much into the title or anything like that, but I'm going to read to us the scripture from where we are coming from, or the scriptures from where we are coming from. We are coming from Romans chapter number 7, all right, verses 15 and verse 23. All right, Romans chapter number 7, verses 15 and verse 23. All right, and it reads, "For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do." All right, let me read it again to you. Romans chapter number 7, verse 15. It states, "For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do." All right. Now, down, which reads on this wise, "But I say, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members." All right, let me read that again to you. "But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity," all right, the law or captivity to the law of sin, which is in my members. All right, that is Romans chapter number 7, verses 15 and verse 23. And like we stated, the lesson on tonight is entitled Miscarriage. It's entitled Miscarriage. And so we have to realize that there is a lot that goes on in us. All right. And there's a lot that happens and a lot of things, all right, that pertain to us as it relates to miscarriage and as it relates to things that we are doing or things that we are not doing. All right. Things that we think about, things that we don't think about. And so without giving away or saying anything else, I want to start off with this question. All right. And I need for somebody to come off of mute. All right. And we can dig at this question because it's not only the physical aspect of it, but we also have to look at and realize there is a spiritual aspect of this. All right. That's what we are mainly focusing in on, the spiritual aspect of it. All right. And the first question is this: why do we keep a pregnancy a secret? All right. Somebody answer me. Why do we keep a pregnancy, all right, a secret? Why do we keep a pregnancy a secret? So somebody come off of mute and answer that question for me. Why do we keep it such hush hush?
Because we are ashamed. People look at us a certain way, thinking that we're so holy or whatever, and we get out here and get pregnant. We keep it, keep it quiet so they will not cause us, call us out of our name, cause us more shame, putting us down, whatever. So we just really keep it hush hush until it really shows. And then you can't keep it hush hush no more until the belly comes, till it come into fruition. So there's a lot of times because we're embarrassed because we was living a certain type of life and we got caught up in it, something out there. So we don't want nobody to know, because we're, embarrassed until, that, like, well, for me, it was put out there before I could even tell, my mother that I was. Let me go get myself checked before, I found out whether I was pregnant. I wasn't sure, but it was out in the public. It was already out in the church before I could even say I was. You know what I'm saying? And then it was like I was bringing shame. You know what I'm saying? Shame. I mean, I wasn't shamed. So how am I bringing shame to you? You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to go through that as a young person or young, you don't want to go through that. Let me deal with what I got. I got enough, so, everybody looking at you all stupid and, oh, wow, your name is being ostracized and you're being talked about behind your back. Nobody's coming to your face. Nobody's explaining things to you. Nobody's understanding that it was a hiccup moment. You got caught up in something that wasn't. So that's why we keep it a secret.
Okay. Anyone else? Why do we keep a pregnancy a secret? And it's not only, like we stated, it's not only the physical aspect of it, but look at it from the spiritual part. Anyone?
Sometimes women keep it a secret because until they get out of the first trimester. And then, in case they miscarry, because that's the most time of miscarriage, the first to the third month. So they keep it a secret for that reason.
So then since you jumped into that, to the next question, Minister Tia, let me just put the companion question to it, and we just deal with both of them at the same time, which is, why is the first trimester so important? And coupled with that, or together with that, is, why do we keep a pregnancy a secret? So we can deal with both of those questions at the same time, and then we'll get to the third question in 1 minute. Because Sister K, she put on there, it's unwanted, reflects your sin, guilt. What are people going to think of me? All right. Someone else.
Yes, I agree with it 100%. What everybody was saying. Sometimes it all depends on your upbringing. Sometimes it depends on the household that you're in. It depends on your age. Like some people is afraid their parent might put them out, or they could be afraid that their parent might kill them. And I mean that literally.
Lord,
and some of them because
Lord Jesus.
but oh God.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. It's all right.
Yeah, but not only that, and some people is just they was like, oh Lord, how did this happen? Then they got to figure out if they not financially able, what they're gonna do with the baby, how they're gonna bring this baby up. And if they tell the father might leave now, woe is me, I can't do this. And a lot of times, dealing with what Minister Tia said, a lot of people won't say nothing until after that third, after the first trimester, because you're going through all this stuff and the worration, you only bring in heartache, sickness on yourself, and you're endangering of miscarrying. So a lot of them, they feel like once they reach that point, that they're in safety zone. That's how they look at it, and the saying, "Don't rock the boat." It just so many thoughts and everything go into that, but a lot of it, even with the correct like upbringing, like I was 20 when I got pregnant with Lionel. And how I ended up telling my mother, because somebody threatened to do it. To tell they thought they was gonna blackmail me, and I told them, listen, before I let you blackmail me, I'll tell on my own self. You know, but it really all depends. It depends on your mindset, your frame of mind. It depends on so much. And then some people is so scared and so much don't know what to do that they're like terrified.
Yeah.
And if they're terrified themselves, it just intensifies itself. Oh God, oh no, I gotta tell my mom. Or oh Jesus, I gotta tell the father. Or and then sometimes you have some children that are more afraid of the mom. I mean, that are more afraid of the dad than they are the mom. So it's just so many so many avenues. That's it. I'm done.
Okay. Until next time.
All right.
But flip, I need somebody to dig at it and flip it from the natural and everything that we've been saying in the natural sense, but flip it to the spiritual. Because we sat up there and said, okay, we're not going to say anything, or people don't say anything because they try to keep it a secret. If you're pregnant in the spirit, why would you want to keep it a secret? Why do people keep it a secret? Why wouldn't you just want to go and tell? Just to broaden the question and to get us to think.
Maybe one, you haven't accepted it, or you don't want to be in a spotlight. So if you're pregnant with ministry or pregnant with the calling, sometimes you run from it. You don't want to accept that you're pregnant. That means you have to produce something. Sometimes you're not ready to produce. And even at the first trimester, that's the place where development happens. So that's the most important, the structure of even being in ministry. Who's around you? Who's helping you? I don't want to say birth, but help deposit into you spiritually that will help build the foundation for whatever birthing or whatever calling is on the inside. So if you don't got the right person who is carrying you, glory to God, that's where the miscarriage can happen, because the structure or the development is now broken. And even in the physical, a miscarriage happens if there is defect or a deformity. So if you have somebody pouring into you spiritually that is defected and deformed, then there is a miscarriage, right? So that's how I look at it for the spiritual. You don't want to be pregnant. Sometimes you don't want to go for it right now. Sometimes you don't want your belly to show. Sometimes you still want to be in the background. There's a responsibility when you're pregnant. You're carrying something that you have to take care of. And even if it's ministry, you are responsible for whatever the Lord has called your hands to do, which means now you got to come to another level. It's not about you anymore. Even when you're pregnant physically, it's no longer about you. You got to watch what you eat. You got to watch what you drink. You got to watch what you say. You can't even be around people who smoke. The same, even in the spirit. If you are in the birthing process, you got to watch your circle. You got to watch who you're around. You got to watch what you take in. You got to watch what words come in, where you're around, because that birth, my God, I'm going to stop. Hallelujah to God. But the birthing, to be able to carry all the way through, there has to be a attachment, a gestation period. There has to be a solidifying. And in order for it to be solidified, you have to be in a place where even the first trimester, you have to be careful of who you're around, who's going to help build it, who's going to help develop it. The body is being built, structure is being formed. So you need that.
Because what you're alluding to is you also have to look at who's the midwife. Who's the midwife? Who's the nurse? You also have to be protective of it, because you can't allow any and everybody to go and lay hands.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they may be acting like they are a so-called midwife, but in actuality, they are planting, doing some root work. I'm just going to be blunt. All right. Oh, I'm supposed
this reminds
to
me, Pastor, of Hand That Rocks the Cradle. That movie, Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Oh, yes.
When you're
Lord
talking about
Jesus.
that, people who come on the side of you can see the hand of God, can see the calling of God, and is there to snatch it from you. That just reminds me of that movie, how she came in to pretend.
Yep.
Yes,
Because
God.
also you got to realize too that the person that's supposed to be helping you would actually be jealous of you. So they're going to feed you the wrong information so that instead of giving birth, you end up having a miscarriage because they're going to be leading you and guiding you the wrong way
Yes.
because
Yes.
they gave or they had a miscarriage themselves because they jumped out there too early. All right. And they tried to push it out too early and they tried to go out there too early when in actuality, they weren't even through or pregnant for 1 month. We've all heard me have said it before. You get the unction, the Lord uses you one time, and then you think that you are pregnant with ministry. You think that you are supposed to be a pastor. You think that you're supposed to be a deacon. You're supposed to be a prophet. You're supposed to be an apostle, whatever. But in actuality, no. I don't want to get too far afield because I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you because Sister Kay, she ended up putting on here, if you are pregnant in the spirit, you may be afraid to tell others because someone can speak death. Woo! Yes, Sister Kay. Someone can speak death in your life intentionally and unintentionally. All right? Someone else, because we're tag teaming and pulling the questions together, which is,
I agree with.
do we keep pregnancy a secret? And then also on top of that, why is the first trimester so important? And it's not just the physical. We want to deal with the spiritual aspect of it too.
Mhm.
It's good to see you, Sister Latrice. I've been missing you, young lady.
Good to be seen. I'm telling you. I'm so happy to feel better.
All
I
right.
was going to agree with Sister K because that is so true when you talk about the spiritual side of that. Because, like, I'll speak about myself, for instance. It was my first time ever going to what's it called, Ocean City, New Jersey, and this woman ended up speaking to me. I was in a wheelchair still, but when I say she spoke into me, she prayed. She first of all she asked me could she pray over me, and I said yes. And then she's prayed over me, but then she started not just praying over my recent hurt leg, my first original hurt leg. She prayed for added strength to that and some other things that I'm not going to mention right now. But I said that to say, I told my sister Tia about it, and I was able to trust her enough because I know that she wouldn't speak against me. And it's so funny that she ended up saying the things to me in Ocean City because the very same things that she said to me, I've had two different prophets at Faith Baptist say the same exact stuff to me. And it's so crazy to me because I'm standing now. You know, some of the stuff already came to pass now. And some of the stuff is in the making already. So you're so true on that. You have to watch who you talk to and who you can trust because they will shoot you down as quick as you can say hello.
Yep.
So I just
Yep.
wanted to share that.
But you also think about it too. In another case, when she laid hands on you, that could have been the first month. That could have been the first month of
Right.
your pregnancy.
You know?
And so you haven't even reached that third trimester yet to see it all come to fruition. But he
Yes.
allowed those other prophets and prophetess come and speak to you to reassure you that even though you haven't seen it come to pass yet, it's still there. It's still
Yes.
there. There's still movement.
Right. And we gotta realize it don't matter how long we've been in the church. Sometimes it could be 20 years or 30 years, but we still are babes in Christ. So we can be, thinking that we're up here and the whole time you're still down in reality right here with me, You just gotta be trustful. You gotta be trustful and careful about who you let your business out to, who you open up to, because it is definitely witches and warlocks that is waiting to devour. So it's not just no myth or made up thing. It's not.
Yep. And even
So
on that, some of those witches and warlocks are our so-called friends.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? They know they come to church too. They come to church. They know the Bible. Know the Bible and the verses better than we do.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And
so
they
we really
sit
got to
right
be
next to you
mindful
in
of that
church.
too. Right. I'm telling you. Sometimes praising is two-stepping more than we do.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be careful. You have to really be careful. It's not just no myth, to scare anyone thinking that it's a witch with a big mole on her nose and a daggone broom. Oh no, they can be flawless. and they'll still be full of just hateful and evilness. It's just crazy. But you just gotta be careful and just think smart and have a watchful eye and you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Discernment.
The word I'm looking for. Yes. You have to.
Oh, don't worry. We all on the same page. We all working this. We all working this gumbo. We all working this gumbo. Because what you're alluding to, Sister Latrice and Minister Smith, is that's why, all right, and I'm just going to put this little nugget in there, and then I'm going to open up the line again. That's why when you are pregnant in the spirit, you have to keep it quiet, and you have to be selective of who you say it to.
Yep.
That's why, you know, when you think about it, that's why Elizabeth, all right, and Mary, if we were to really try to dig at it and get technical about it, that's why they were the only two that knew about their pregnancy.
That's right.
Because not everybody can handle, all right, what they are pregnant with. And then besides that, at that particular point in time, Mary being pregnant and not being married, that's a whole nother conundrum. That's a whole nother conundrum. So we have to be protective. All right. We just can't go and blab it to everybody.
Yeah.
We can't. I don't want to say too much more because there's a whole lot sitting on the tip of my tongue that just wants to come out. But I'm not going to let it out. I'm going to hold it in.
That's on me.
So,
but you know what, Pastor, one more thing. Can I say one more thing? Speaking of like the natural pregnancy, right? So I'm gonna just let this little piece out. It's kind of funny, but it's not. So when I found out I was pregnant, of course, I was not ecstatic. I was a crying, sobbing mess because, you know, I knew better. I didn't have any abortions. You know, I was waiting to be married first. So I waited all the way till I was 32, you know, to get trapped. Not to say trapped, but, you know, to get get caught out there. So now I went crying to Bishop and talking to her. And, you know, of course, Deacon Webb right there, he like, Catrice, he calls me Catrice. Catrice, I can't believe you. You know, and I'm, you know, that crushed me even more, you know. So, you know, Bishop saw how much it hurt me because she know how I am. She knows me. So she said, Irvin, you don't do that girl like that. You know, people walk around here pregnant, belly out, they head up here, they all proud of it. Look at her. You don't beat her up any more than she's already beat up.
Come on,
that's a blessing inside of her. Yep. She said that's a blessing inside of her. It's not a curse. You don't do that. I'm telling you. And my point is, sometimes people have to sit back and realize we are here for a reason. So guess what? If you get knocked up, it ain't no curse on your life. It's not the end of the world. That baby, that girl or boy was meant to be here. So just be great. Just be grateful. It's a blessing, and we have to realize that it's not a curse. It's not a disease that you can't get rid of. It's a blessing.
Right.
So I just thought I'd share that.
And the thing that I was going to add to what you had said was also, even in this, parents, you know, whether you're watching this now, you're watching it later, whatever, look at the temperament of the child.
Yes.
All right. Understand the temperament of the child. If the child is, you know, distraught, they upset, you know, you know that you can obviously tell. All right, that they're upset, they're mad, they're the whole time, you know,
they're not ecstatic,
jumping
you know,
on them and piling on them on top of it's not going to help. It's not going to help the situation. It's not, because all that's going to do is make the situation that much worse.
Yes.
All right, and that's going in the physical side of it. And that's why we have to, as parents, we have to know our children, but also be understanding when it comes to the situation. Because for most of us, that was most of us, or that could have been us.
Right.
The only reason why it wasn't us is because of God's grace and God's mercy.
Yes.
But don't get it twisted, though. Don't get it twisted. Like I say, don't act like your stuff don't stink. Don't act like you ain't never, you everybody done had that oops moment. Right. Everybody done had that oops moment. And everybody is like, Oh, I'm 6 weeks, I'm 3 days, I'm 4 days, I'm 5 days late, and he ain't put a ring on it or nothing. Oh, Lord Jesus, Lord Jesus. And then we start, we
Oh,
really start fasting and
I'm
praying.
telling you. Yeah.
We start praying, till kingdom come. And we put ourselves on a consecration then.
Yeah.
We put ourselves on a consecration. And then on top of that, when it finally comes, we see that our friend done visit us that month. We go into church and we go, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Can't nobody sit us down. We sit up there running all over the place. We got our own music going. We put on our own click track. We got our own. Listen, I'll play the organ myself. I'll dance and play the organ myself. Forget everybody else. I'm going to go in because, you know what? God made it fail. God made it fail. That's what'll happen. That's what we'll do. Don't, please. Saints of the Most High God, don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Not everybody in the church is sitting up there. Not every young person and even adults, let me put it that way, are sitting up there praising God because God is good. They're praising him because God is good and they not pregnant. And she not pregnant. Because we really don't want to. All right. Somebody else. Because I'm gonna get to this. I'm gonna drop the third question. All right, Mr. Larnell, I see you came off of mute. Go ahead.
Well, I say, when we look at it, you look at physical pregnancy is external, and spiritual pregnancy is internal. But when you're looking at the first trimester, you can't see neither one of them. You can't see a person that's pregnant in the first trimester, but you're looking at the importance of stop drugging, the importance of stop drinking, the importance of stop being around people who are smoking, those different things. The importance of starting to take your birth and nourishment pills and getting your meds that will help your baby birth better. Those stuff matters in that early trimester when they're not completely formed and they can't completely defend themselves in that early trimester. But at the same time, with physical or spiritual, there's good and bad things. Like was stated, some people got their head up proud being a single mother, having a baby, having babies out of wedlock. They wanted to. They played with their baby doll so long, they thought it was going to be fun to have something that would love them because they felt like they don't have any love inside their life. So they are encouraging themselves. They are going out looking to get pregnant. Now, when you flip a lot of this stuff inside the spiritual, we look at the arrogance that people have when they feel that God has called them to something.
Oh, say that A word again.
The arrogance that people have. If the word tell us to study to show ourselves approved, what are you going to study if the Lord doesn't tell you who you are? If the Lord never gave you who you are, if the Lord never gave somebody to speak into you for you to grab, what would you know to study? So in that early trimester, the Lord is telling you something so you can begin to study what he is telling you. So you can begin to learn about what he is telling you. How are you going to call yourself a prophet when you're not looking up prophet manuals, when you're not looking at the prophets inside the Bible and see what those prophets did, see what prophecy came through? How are you going to call yourself a pastor when you're not preparing yourself to teach the people? How are you going to call yourself an evangelist when you're not preparing yourself to walk to and fro in the earth to beckon the sinners to come to the church? How are you going to call yourself something when you're not preparing yourself to come to it? When we look at it, my example I had was David. David was anointed as a little boy, but it took David decades before he became king. When Moses led the people out of the children of Israel, Moses was told where they was going. But the children of Israel stayed in their first trimester so long that it took them 40 years to get there. And most of them got aborted because for for the first 11 years, everybody that was born in that first 11 years that they came out was going to be over 20 years old. So they all died. So that first 11 years, the people got aborted because they wasn't prepared. They didn't nourish their first trimester. So they was all miscarried and they couldn't make it to the promised land. So when you looking at that inner you, when you're looking at the spiritual side, the Lord is still telling us we have to prepare ourselves. We have to study. We have to get ready. You just can't say, oh, well, I come of age, just let me go. No, you have to prepare yourself now to get ready for the future. Even if that future is 20 years into the future. If the Lord told you at 15 that you were going to do this, then you got to prepare yourself for it. And if you prepare yourself for it, then when you get in it and you have to deal with the things that comes with that position, you're going to be prepared to deal with it. Same thing, you look at pregnancy. Do we prepare ourselves for the child? Do we prepare ourselves that we cannot be selfish anymore? Do we prepare ourselves that it's no longer time for you to get your hair and nails done? It's time that you make sure that you have those formula to make sure you have those diapers before you worried about if your hair is laid every single week. You are no longer by yourself. Have we prepared ourselves? You might have to start cutting your hair bald. You can't go to the barbershop every other week to get that fresh do. You have to prepare yourself because you are now bringing in something that's bigger than you. So we have to prepare. So whether if it's physical, whether if it's spiritual, that first trimester is preparing for what's to come down the road. Because you ain't feeling no back pains right now. You ain't feeling no cramps right now. But you got to talk to somebody who already gave birth to let you know what happens when you think about pickles and ice cream. When you got to ask somebody that soon as you lay your head down, you're going to jump up and tell the baby daddy that you need something because your stomach is growling and you thought you ate enough. But we don't prepare ourselves. We don't prepare ourselves for the generation that's before us that already been through what it is that God is telling us that we're about to go through. We think that we're just going to download it from God. What is the point of God always download into every single person and never have an example? What would be the point of the examples inside the Bible? What would be the point of the mentor? What would be the point of the school of the prophet? What would be the point that the Lord left these examples inside the Bible that we say we follow, but we don't read it and we don't educate ourselves and we don't prepare ourselves with the manual in order to do the work that we say God is calling us to?
Because we need to study. We need to study. We definitely need to study. Because you have to be prepared, all right? Because yes, you may know, and as Minister Smith has said earlier, you may know, but you are fearful of it. You don't really want it, all right? Why? Because you know all of the responsibilities and everything that comes along with it. But there's also one other question that I want to add or ask, which is this: what are the difference, all right, or differences between twins? Yeah, I know that sounds strange, but what are the differences between twins?
It depends on what type of twins you're talking about.
Okay, break it down there.
Are they fraternal twins or are they identical twins?
And what's the difference?
The difference in fraternal twins is that they're either different genders or they're two separate eggs. Identical twins come from the same egg and they have the same chromosome and the same patterns that way.
All right. And what's some other differences?
Personalities, likes and dislikes.
Personalities, likes and dislikes. And even when you talk about them being one a female and the other one male, the way their bodies are shaped.
Body shape, yeah.
And even if it is two males or two females, one might be tall, the other one might be short. One might be thin, one might be stocky. What else? What other type of differences? that we can think of.
Their interests.
Experiences. Yeah, interests.
Mm-hmm. Interest, variance, yeah, true. All of it is true. Because why did we read, and I'm asking, like I said, a rhetorical question, why did we read the chapter that we read or the verses that we read? Because it says, but I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind and bringing me into captivity the law of sin, which is in my members. That means, or that sounds like, there is what going on? Mm-hmm.
Struggle inside the mind.
There's a war. Two things going on.
It sounds like there's what in there?
The
Sounds like
enemy
there's,
that's in me.
yes. And it sounds like there is two. And we could almost
Right.
say, now, just digging at it a little bit more. All right, Sister Shauna, since she broke it down to us, does this sound like identical twins or fraternal twins? And Sister K, I love what you put, conflict. What does it sound like? Does it sound like it's identical twins, the verses that we read, or it's fraternal twins?
I don't know. I chimed
I
in late.
think it's identical twins. It's identical twins because it's one person, but it's two things going on in your mind.
Come on, dig at it, Mother Shula.
It's two things going on in your mind. And I was listening to everybody. And when you become pregnant spiritual, you're not even sure what you got.
Wow.
You're not sure of it. So you don't want to be speaking something and you might think, I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not even sure what I have, you know? So it's the war of the spirit that goes on in us. And even after we know what we have, they come around and doubt what we have. And sometimes we doubt what we have. And we have to, it takes time and study and meditating and experience with God to have the confidence to know who you are in Jesus Christ. I mean, mine didn't happen overnight. I don't know if somebody was like boom and they just knew it all overnight, but I didn't. You make mistakes along the journey, you know, the road that you take. One day you high up on the mountaintop and the next day you thinking of yourself that I don't even deserve this. What? Why would God love me? Why would he care for me? Why would he keep speaking to me? Oh my God. Why would he invest in me? Why would he invest in me? I'm not even worthy to be invested into. You think you're not worthy. But thank God for the shedding of blood. Thank him that he loves us unconditionally. But we have to learn that. It's a walk, it's a process. It's sanctification, it's justification, it's all of that. And it just, when you got called as a minister, you wasn't sure at first, you know, and when co-pastor came about deaconess, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't know. But you know, as God grows you, you get more mature and you understand. But it's a growing process. And my father was not a spiritual man. I don't want anybody to think this, okay? He gambled until the day he died. And it was a bunch of women crying at his funeral, okay? But he said, when you get straight, when you get everything in your mind straight, you will be straightened out. And he meant when you get it all together, you're going to get out of here.
Wow. Because the one thing that I wanted to add to what you were saying is you said sometimes you don't even know that you're pregnant. Sometimes you're not even sure that you're pregnant. All right. And that's not only in the physical, but also in the spiritual, because you also think about it in this way. Sometimes people can, or women can think themselves into being pregnant and showing the symptoms, all right, and showing the signs that they think themselves into it, but you also look at it in the same way.
It's called phantom pregnancy, right?
Say that again.
It's called phantom pregnancy, right?
Yes. I think so. All right. So the
Say it
same
again?
way you have phantom pregnancies in the physical, you could turn around and have and create phantom pregnancies in the spirit. And you end up thinking yourself into being pregnant with ministry, and you are not pregnant with anything at all. I'm gonna be silly. You just got gas. That's all there is to it. You just got gas. You ate some Taco Bell. You ate some refried beans. You ate some cabbage, and you think that, and it's not. It's not. It's not what you think it is. And so you're going through all of the, oh my God, you're going through all of the motions, all right, because you think you're something that you're not. All right, because even let me make it plain, and I'm just gonna keep rolling right on into it. Because you have too many people that you can be around somebody, all right. Ooh. All right, got another one. Sorry, my brain is having a whole lot of conversations with itself right now. Like a husband, all right, a husband whose wife is pregnant sometimes will have sympathy pains. He's not pregnant, but he's having sympathy pains with her because he sympathized with her. If you are around somebody that is pregnant, truly pregnant in ministry, you can sit up there and mimic all of the stuff that they are doing because you are around a person that is literally pregnant or really pregnant with ministry. And you start saying, ooh, Lord, I hear, I see. No, you don't hear, you don't see, you don't see. You just sitting up there cutting up a fool, and you are just having sympathy pains and creating, all right, a phantom pregnancy in the spirit when you are completely in the flesh. And you are mimicking what somebody else truly is. Because to a certain degree, you might be jealous of them and you might want to be them. So that's why you are hanging around them. Because the point that I want to make on tonight is this: you can't get pregnant when you're still pregnant. That's the first and only point we're going to get to tonight. You can't get pregnant when you are still pregnant. Okay, Pastor, you done threw us a weird one that sounds crazy. Yes, it sounds crazy, but you got to think about it. You can't get pregnant with ministry when you're still pregnant with carnality. When you still have so much in the world, and you have so much of the things of the world still gripping and holding on to you. You can't do that. You can't get pregnant with ministry when you still have so much of the world pulling on you. There is a constant struggle. That's why it says there is a war in my members. There is a war in my flesh. My spirit is fighting against, all right, my mind, and my mind is against my spirit, or my spirit against my flesh, and my flesh against my spirit, whichever way you want to put it. There is something in us that is fighting our spirit because it does not want the spirit to win. It wants the flesh to win, so it wants that twin, all right, that identical twin to win. It wants that side of us to win the battle, so it's feeding, it's doing all of that so that the spirit can never come to fruition. And the spirit will not win. The spirit will wither and die because it wants to nourish. Think about it. Whichever part or whatever part of us we feed the most is the part that's going to grow. So if we keep feeding the spirit, then the spirit is going to grow. It's going to end up manifesting. And the other, even though it's identical, it'll end up shrinking down to a place where it's like, it just looked like a tumor. It just looks like, it just looked like whatever. It doesn't even resemble, all right, a baby. It doesn't even resemble anything. Why? Because it's malnourished. There's no attention paid to it. All right. It's almost as if the umbilical cord to that one has been clipped, or if not that, it has been pinched. All right. So then not as much nutrients can actually go to the other twin. So you got to realize and look at it. As it states in 1 Kings chapter 18 and 21, and it states this, the A clause. It says, and Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? All right, let me read it again. Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. What side are you leaning on? You can't just consistently straddle the fence and expect to ride the fence. There's going to be a time where you got to either go to the left or you got to go to the right. You can't sit up there and try to ride the fence the whole time. You can't. So you can't expect, my God, to sit up there and dibble dabble in the world and then try to sit up there and expect to be pregnant with ministry. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work. It has to be, all right, like we said, you can get with this or you can get with that. Which one do you want to get with? That's all there is to it. Which one do you want to get with? All right? Because I would even tell, I'd be plain, point blank honest. If you're going to be out there in the world, listen, go have all the fun out there that you want to have. Listen, like they say, do you? But if you're going to come to church and you're going to be about the things of God, then you know what? Go all in. Go all in. Go all in. Go hard. Go hard after God. Just as you would go hard when you out there on the dance floor, in the club, all that other stuff. If you was up on a stripper pole, you was trying to make that money. You ain't want to get the change. You wanted the dollars. So you was rocking it real hard back then. If you're going to go hard then you need to go hard now. No difference. You need to go hard. Why? Because it's like, listen, you can't just sit up there and expect you to be able to do both. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Let me put it plainly. One must die in order for the other to live. One must die in order for the other one to live. And it's up to us to figure out which one will die. Choose ye this day whom you will serve. Which one that's in you is going to die? Which twin? Because they're both pulling at you. You can't have both of them come out at the same time. That's not possible. It is not possible to have both of them come at the same time. You can't sit up there and feed both of them and have both of them grow at the same time, because there's something's going to happen with one. Something is going to happen with one. You can't just expect that. That's why we continue to remind us that you can't sit up there, all right, and come to church on Sunday and give God the glory all on, all that stuff on Sunday. But then by Sunday night, you sitting up there smoking, drinking, cussing, fussing, all that other stuff. Gambling on the games, checking your numbers, all right? Lying to the kids, lying to the bill collector, all that stuff. All right? Sitting up there, let me even make it plain, because sometimes even sitting up there, not taking your medicine and saying, God knows, God's my healer. No, you're wrong. God gave the doctor the knowledge for what you were supposed to do. And now you sitting up there, no, God told them what to do. If you're wrong, you're wrong, period. That's all there is to it. Because for too many of us in the church, we sit up there and try to say that there are different levels of sin. And there's not different levels of sin. Sin is sin, period. Point blank, end of discussion. If you're seeing this and you hear me, somebody tell you different, listen, I'm telling you right now, sin is sin. Wrong is wrong, period. There is no big sin, no little sin. It's all wrong, all of it. So you have to realize and look at and pray about which one is going to be the one that's going to come forth. Because you can't sit up there and feed both of them. You can't. You can't feed both of them because you can't get pregnant when you are still pregnant. You can't get pregnant with the things of God and you're still pregnant with the things of the world. Yes, you got two twins growing in on the inside of you, but listen, one of them jokers got to shrink. One of them jokers got to shrink so that the other one can come forth. And even let me make it plain, going back to, all right, dealing with what we talked about with the first question. Because sometimes some don't know that they are pregnant until, and this goes back to one of the old movies and even one of the Medeas. I was dreaming about fish. I had a dream about fish last night. I saw fish in my dream. Somebody pregnant. And that's what the old mothers would say. The old mothers would be able to tell. The old mothers of the church, they'd be able to tell. Oh, sister, brother, you pregnant with ministry. He'd be like, stop, I ain't pregnant with it. No. And they come to you, be like, you got a calling on your life. Don't run from the calling. He'd be like, I ain't got no calling on my life. No, not with, and going back to what Mother Shula said, not with all the stuff that I'm still doing. And I got this going on. I got that going on. I got this war in my mind and I'm not. And they be like, nope, God's going to clean it up. God's going to clean it up. God's going to clean it up. Protect what you have on the inside of you because God has need of you. It's growing in there. It's gestating in there. And you don't even realize what's going on the inside of you because you won't even recognize it. You feel, oh God, you feel the little flutters on the inside. You have those, that morning sickness. Early in the morning will I seek thee. Why do you keep getting up early in the morning? Because there is morning sickness and you're like, why in the world do I keep getting up? Why do I keep having this growing pain? Why do I keep having this pains in my stomach? Why do I continue to feel sick? It's because there's something growing on the inside of you and you don't even realize it. And for most, like we've already stated, we don't even want it. That's the crazy part about it. We don't even want it. And even let me make it even more plain. Some of us did not even do anything to be pregnant with it. We was trying to do everything else but get pregnant. We was, see, I have to, let me reel it back in. Because I was about to, we was using, and so some of us, see, some of us try to run from it. And you, and let me put it to you plainly. You run long enough, and there is a possibility that you will have a miscarriage. Because you keep running from it. And I'm not talking about physically. I'm talking about spiritually, because you keep running from it instead of running to it. And as you run from it, you end up causing damage to it, and you end up having a miscarriage. And you wonder why, you know, why is God not using me? Why is God not talking? Because you're not pregnant any longer. He called you. You know that he called you. You know without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody, no one person was perfect or is perfect when they are called. We are all striving for perfection. As Mother Shula stated earlier, sanctification. God is constantly and consistently working on us because we are all a work in progress. So in that, we got to realize that we may not want it. We may not want to do anything to have it, but keep praying, keep fasting, keep seeking the Lord, and watch what ends up happening. Over a period of time, it's going to come forth. It's going to come forth, and it's going to be, let me see how to put it. It's going to be so seasoned that people will be amazed. That's why people were amazed when Jesus all of a sudden jumped on the scene, because they're like, where did he come from? Because he speaks with such eloquence. He speaks with such power. And as I heard it the other day, Jesus was prepared 30 years for 3 years of ministry. Think of that. 30 years he was being prepared for 3 years of ministry. But some people, they won't even be prepared for 30 seconds of ministry, but they want 30 years. Look at Moses. Moses was worked. He had, when he was in Pharaoh's court, he was taken care of and raised in Pharaoh's court for all those years. Then once he left Pharaoh's court, he was out on the backside of the desert for all those years. Then when God got finished working on him there, God brought him back, all right, to Egypt. And he was being worked on there. Then he was, being worked on with the Israelites while they were out in the wilderness. All those years, God was preparing him for the promised land that he never got a chance to go in to see. Imagine being pregnant and knowing something is about to happen, knowing where it was going. They were, they were getting you ready for it. You could taste it, took you up to a high mountain. You led the people there. But because of disobedience, you had a miscarriage. And you could not bring forth what was already, what you have already seen. Think about John the Baptist. John the Baptist out there, locusts and wild honey. All those years out there, but then to come out and they're looking at him. Where in the world did you come from? The disciples walking with Jesus 3 years up there in the upper room. Then all of a sudden they come out, bam! Where did you guys come from? How did they get to where they at? It's because they took the time out and they did what was necessary. Because they were pregnant with twins, but one twin had to die. Because that's why it says there was a war in my members. And one twin has to die so that the other twin can come forth. Yep, I see your hand.
Also, as you was talking about aborting and dying or whatever, also you can be pregnant but have a stillborn.
Ooh.
Because having that stillborn, here you are, you can see I'm pregnant by 3 months or 4 months, but I never get any bigger because I have not, like Minister Lionel said, I did not study. I did not put anything inside the baby. I didn't do any impartation or nothing. So the baby is pregnant and you don't even know it's stillborn. You don't even know it's dead. And then you're not growing anymore. So now you either have to have a circumcision or still get up in the stirrups and let them try to get the baby out because it's dead. So another thing that also we have to realize that too, that we need to study. We can be pregnant in the spirit, but if we don't do and study the word of God. We don't fast, we don't pray, we don't do, and get in the word and things to build us up in the spirit. That baby, that birth, that ministry that God has given us that we're birthing, it could die. And we don't even know, so that's another thing what we need to look at too, is, not only it could stillborn, abortion, and then, death. So there's a lot to look at on that part.
I wanted to add something to that, because imagine this. You're feeding the wrong baby. It's not the spiritual one, it's the flesh, but it's a stillborn. And you don't even realize that in order for you to live, you have to get that thing out of you. Right. Because the stillborn baby on the inside is killing you, plus it's already dead.
Amen.
So you got to get rid of it in order for you to live. Because when it's staying inside of you, it's actually killing you.
Amen.
There's a lot to dig at. There's a lot to dig at and a lot to think about. All right. So we got to realize that we cannot get pregnant when we are still pregnant. It's not possible. It's not possible. We have to feed one. I got you. I see your hand. We have to feed one and allow the other one to die. Minister Lionel.
I said, if we look at, what he was saying is that the Bible gives us all these examples. It's just amazing how, when we really dig at it and we really sit down and look, we will see that when we go back to Jacob and Esau, they was told that there was two nations growing in your womb and that they was warring against each other. Now, when we look at your last question that you have, trying to determine whether if it was identical or whether if it was maternal, the spirit could identify with the flesh. The spirit knows what's going on in the flesh, but the flesh can only imitate the spirit. The flesh will never have the power of the spirit. It will never know everything of the spirit. So the flesh will never have what identical twins have, with being able to be mentally linked one to another. Jacob and Esau was not mentally linked one to another. When Jacob wanted to steal Esau's birthright, Esau couldn't determine it. When Jacob disguised himself as Esau didn't know what was going on. The father couldn't determine it. But then later on in life, when Jacob knew he had to go through Esau's territory, Esau had already forgiven Jacob. Esau was ready to bury the hatchet, but Jacob now still could not determine what Esau was thinking and was scared that Esau would kill him. The spirit and the flesh wars against each other, and they're going to continue to war against each other. So when we look at it spiritually, like Paul was saying, that I got a member in my flesh warring one to another, and it's killing me from the inside. And you can't feed two things. If you feed the spirit, the flesh will die. If you feed the flesh, the spirit will die. When you can't be too pregnant with two different things at the same time, is because we become what we eat. Whatever we feed, we become more of that. We become what we eat. So when we look at the fact of the spirit and the physical and the flesh are maternal twins of each other. They are opposite of each other. They're going to continue to war against each other until the end of time. Why? Because the word already let us know we was born in sin, shaped in iniquity. When we offer ourselves up to God and we receive the plan of redemption, we are now entering the spirit back in that we was connected from, but we are still in this flesh. The flesh still didn't go anywhere. We just introduced the spirit that we was cut off from back into the life that the spirit didn't have any connection to because of sin. So if we don't continue to kill sin daily, the spirit is going to start reconnecting itself all over again because we keep letting sin rule our body.
Yep.
So the word gives us everything we would ever need if we took the time to look into it and to delve into it. While you was teaching, Pastor, I just thought about Jacob and Esau.
Yeah.
Jacob was told that he was going to be the man, but Esau was born first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Esau sold that birthright because he knew he was the firstborn and his father was going to bless him anyway. So he ain't care what Jacob wanted to do because he knew he was the firstborn and he knew he was going to get that blessing. So Jacob, I sell you this birthright, but it ain't going to mean nothing because Father is going to bless me anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. The wrong attitude. The wrong attitude. Thank you, guys. Yes. Anyone else? All right. Because like we said, you can't be pregnant and still get pregnant again. You can't. It's not possible. One must die in order for the other one to live. That's why it says, I die daily. And as co-pastor said, reminded us, kill it and kill it dead. Kill it and kill it dead. The flesh must die on a regular basis so that the spirit may live. Now, prayerfully and hopefully we will finish up miscarriage next week, because we do have some more interesting questions and things like that that we must deal with and delve into. And it's not, like we stated, it's not just the physical part of it, but it's more dealing with the spiritual part. All right, because a miscarriage is traumatizing. That's all I'm going to say. My name is Pastor Lamont Brown. I'm the pastor of Faith Baptist Tabernacle here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we are evangelizing to the family while building disciples. I just want to remind you of this one thing. It's already done. You just got to catch